You know, a lot of times, a lot of parents with neurodivergent children, they sleep just a few hours. Some don't get to sleep at all because by the time the special one goes to bed, it's already time to wake up and attend to the others. But come on, it's something that many parents believe they have to live with. Tonight or this morning, I am telling you, you do not have to live with it. Yeah, you do not have to live with it because a lot can be done to address this issue. I am a nutritionist, and from my own area of expertise, I have seen a lot of children begin to have better sleep. And you know, one thing about them is that as soon as the sleep gets better, behavior gets better. And how do you know that behavior is getting better? Hyperactivity gets better. And as soon as hyperactivity gets better, attention span gets better. And as soon as attention span gets better, learning gets better. And what is learning? Receptive language. And what follows receptive language? Expressive language. So can you see the chain of action? That is the chain of action for children, for neurodivergent children. One thing always leads to another and another and another. They begin to feel restless. They begin to lose sleep. Even when they sleep, it is not quality sleep. So in my practice, I have seen a lot of children. The parents begin to notice that there is improvement in their level of attention. Attention span increases. But here is the sequence. The sequence is that as soon as we address their guts, they start sleeping better. When they start sleeping better, the behavior becomes better, because when a child sleeps better at night, the next morning they are less cranky and less upset. And when they are less cranky, the behavior is better. Of course, it's logical. And when the behavior gets better, they learn to pay more attention in class. Yes, Fintoka. So when they are paying more attention in class, the next thing is that the parents begin to notice that they are learning. And what is learning? Learning is the ability to sit still and listen to their teachers, to their therapists, to their facilitators, whoever is supporting them. They listen, they pay attention. And this practically becomes receptive language. Today, I was speaking with one of the parents. She told me that what they have realized is that their child, I am actually a nutritionist, but I work with neurodivergent children. And tonight I am talking about sleep issues, that a lot of them do not sleep well at night. And parents feel that they just have to live with it. But tonight I am saying parents do not have to live with it. You do not have to live with the fact that your child is not sleeping every night. Some parents think it's spiritual. Yes, I do not dispute whatever anybody wants to believe. But in my practice, I have seen a whole lot of children getting better just by us addressing their gut issues. So their gut issues have so much to do with their sleep, and their sleep has, thank you so much, that's so kind of you. Their sleep has so much to do with their behavior, because no matter who you are, even as an adult, when you do not sleep well, you do not feel happy. And as children, especially as neurodivergent children, when they are not happy, they find it difficult to control their emotions. And that is when people are saying, oh, they are hyperactive, oh, they are aggressive, oh, they have anxiety, oh, they have, lots of names for that. But guess what? All of these are rooted in their guts. Only one example I will address tonight. This is the case of the yeast overgrowth. When a child has yeast overgrowth, a lot of things happen. Number one is that when the moon is full at 3 a.m., not just one day, at 3 a.m. especially, is the time that these microorganisms reproduce. And at this time, the child tends to be awake. The child cannot sleep because the activities of these microorganisms are keeping them awake. And when they are awake, the child is awake. So parents notice that even when the child happens to go to bed like 7, 8, at 3 a.m., the child is awake again. And they are like, oh, we are exhausted. The child does not sleep well. And when they are awake, they are either laughing or jumping or screaming. They can be doing a whole lot. And believe me, I have one. If they are in that state, you cannot sleep. So if this child has microbial overgrowth, there will be a sleep issue. That is number one. Another way that their gut can affect their sleep is if the child probably has a form of dysbiosis, when there is maybe a condition of a leaky gut. What leaky gut does is that when the child eats, the food goes into the bloodstream. And in this state, the body is uncomfortable because it is receiving this food from a source, like from where it ought to come from. It's not where it's coming from. It's barging into it. And then it recognizes it as a toxicant instead of as nutrients. And the body produces these antibodies and is constantly fighting, trying to understand what is going on. I mean, this is not food, this is toxicant. And when this is happening, the body releases a chemical known as zonulin. When this chemical is released, it triggers inflammation, because inflammation happens when something unusual happens. So when the body realizes that something has invaded me, the body releases the zonulin, and the zonulin goes and causes inflammation. So when the child has inflammation, this inflammation, believe me, may not just happen in the guts, it can also be happening in the brain at the same time. I have a child. If you go to our YouTube channel, you will see where a woman said how brain foods saved my son's mental health. If you listen to that clip, we have that child who was nonverbal, who was hyperactive, who was inattentive, who does not sleep well. So we had this series of tests. We conducted food allergy tests. We conducted heavy metal toxicity tests. We conducted organic acid tests. And we conducted stool analysis. His food allergy was perfect. He was not reacting to any food. He had no heavy metal toxicity at all. In fact, at some point, I was already feeling guilty. Why did I have to make this family go through this test? He had no heavy metal toxicity. He had no food allergy. His food allergy profile was perfect. His organic acid test, there were a few things, but nothing, nothing significant to worry about. But guess what? In the stool analysis, we saw that this child has inflammatory bowel disease. And what has been happening? He's just 4 years old. 4 years old, and out of that 4 years old, he has been constipated for 3 years. And in those 3 years, they have been going to the hospital, and they kept giving them Miralax, like antacids. And you know what antacid does is that when you continuously continue taking antacid, they also interferes with nutrient absorption. But the mom said even with the antacid, nothing was happening. The child wasn't going number two for several years, like for 3 years out of his 4 tiny years, he has been constipated. The mom says it gets so bad that she has to physically use things to scrape out poo from him. So by the time we finished the test and the analysis, it was only the stool analysis that indicated that there was a problem, and the problem was inflammatory bowel problem. There was an inflammation identified in his stool analysis. So we embarked on gut healing. We involved a medical doctor because we thought it was bad enough for maybe it might be requiring something like surgery or an extensive form of treatment. But they said it wasn't bad. It wasn't like that terrible. So we started gut healing protocols, nutrition, probiotic, gut restoration. And guess what? Within 3 months, the mom said the boy started speaking, he became verbal, he became self-aware, he was less destructive, he was more attentive, he was just amazing. The mom said in that 3 months, there was a vacation, and during the vacation, this was a boy that he couldn't attend school alone. Like a child, he was never able to go to school alone. There has to be a facilitator with him all the time. But within that 3 months, the mom said the whole of the summer, he attended summer classes alone without a facilitator. And as at the time we had that interview, we were looking at 6 months, give or take. And this family is already weaning the child off his therapist. So the therapist was already being weaned, like, you don't be with him all the time because he's practically just becoming, neurotypical. And I tell people, you cannot imagine what lies in the guts of a child. You cannot imagine. I made a meal plan 3 days ago, and you won't believe what we saw in this child. This child's allergy test was perfect. He was not allergic to any food. No heavy metal toxicity. No, nothing. But when we got to the organic acid test, oh my God. A lot of times parents would say, just recommend something. This test is too long. It takes a long time. It's too expensive. And to be honest with you, if I am pressed, if I am pushed, I would just say, the best thing you can do is to offer high protein, high fat, low carbohydrates. Owing to the fact that a lot of them have yeast overgrowth, whereby complex carbohydrates can make it more, can aggravate their hyperactivity. But this child, this last week, he changed the narrative. The organic acid showed us that this child has too much glutaconic acid. And this glutaconic acid means that he has an inborn error of metabolism for certain types of protein. And these protein are the kind of proteins you find in meat, you find in egg, you find in fish. So in other words, if we continue to offer this child protein, we are killing that child. But on a very good day, if parents did not perform any tests, I would just say, I don't want to recommend, but if I would say anything, just go protein high, carbohydrates low, fat high. But in this case, the child, in fact, at the end of the day, the diet that the child needed was low protein, low fat, and high carbohydrates. Because we also saw one other organic acid, I see hydrobutyric acid. This hydrobutyric acid is also suggesting that the child has oxidative stress, and then he has insulin resistance, and then he has he has oxidative stress and insulin resistance. And then there is another there is this acid that is produced by activities of microbial population that acts on complex fiber. In other words, you find them in milk because cows eat complex fiber. So those kind of microorganisms are found in the stomach of cows because they are the kind of microorganisms, propionic acid. They are the kind of microorganisms that act on complex fiber. So this propionic acid is very high in milk because complex fiber is what cows eat, and the microorganisms that act on complex fiber produces propionic acid. And the propionic acid is responsible, is as in high levels of that propionic acid can cause intellectual disability, as well as that glutaconic acid. High level of glutaconic acid and high level of that propionic acid can cause intellectual disability. So for this child, you must remove dairy from his food. You must remove dairy from his food because he has high level of propionic acid and he has high level of glutaconic acid. So dairy being a protein and dairy being a source of propionic acid must leave this child's food. So the point I'm making here is that a lot of answer lies in nutrition. A lot of answer lies in nutrition. But my plea to parents is that if you need to do this, please, if you can, do not look at the cost of the tests. The tests are like putting up your sat nav to arrive at a place. Yes, you may go here, do that, carry out one intervention, do this, do that. You might arrive there. It's like give or take. Some parents find the key to their children as early as they do 1, 2, 3. Some others will keep looking here, doing that, yet they may not find the key. But I tell you, with medical tests, you are finding the key. I tell parents that the test is such that if we do it right and we interpret it right, even you, with your own basic science knowledge, you should be able to support your child. By the time you finish the test, I must not be there for you to be able to know what to do with your child. As a matter of fact, I give you the basics. I kind of guide you, and you as a parent will have to do a lot by yourself. So the steps is that Number one, you have to convince yourself first that this nutrition is a key step for me. For me, it's a foundation. Even if a child is doing therapy, like I said in the beginning, even when a child is doing therapy, we realize that that therapy is more effective when their guts are fixed. The therapist's job becomes smoother when a child's gut is fixed. Forgive me. So when a child's gut is fixed, like I said in the beginning, they are more attentive, they are more receptive to whatever the therapist is saying, they are more conscious of their environment. And when a child is more attentive, the next thing you see is receptive language. They can carry out 2-3 steps instruction. The mother that I spoke with tonight was telling me that now the child can identify who is who. They can send him on errands. He can go and, go bring my purse and come down. This is like 3-step instruction. And this is happening just about 2 weeks after the child started foundational steps. Foundational. We have not even done the meal plan. So those who have the courage to seek for nutritional intervention, what I tell parents is that I have never seen one, not even one person that did it right, that said it does not have any effect. The only people that say it doesn't have effect are people who were not convinced. They were maybe forced by referral, or they just feel it's too cumbersome. Yes, it is true. It's not an easy step. I tell parents, it's not a meal plan. It's an intervention. It's a process. It's a lifestyle change. It's a mindset change. It's a habit change. You are going to invest your money, your time, your energy. Because number one, the food, we start by looking at the environmental factors. And this will include even the pots you are cooking with in your kitchen. We will look at how you support the body to take care of the toxicants that are already going in. And we will look at what are the things in that child's immediate environment that might be impairing their ability to utilize what is being offered them in terms of nutrients. Because when you look at nutrition and look at every other thing, nutrition, for instance, even if you offer your child the best food and the integrity of their guts are compromised, you might as well be hurting the child. Nutrition is a two-edged sword, as they say. You might be hurting the child or you might be healing the child, depending on how you're doing it. That is why the guide is absolutely necessary. You need someone to guide you. You need someone to lead you to the right, direction. These are not things you Google. They are emerging concepts and they are protocols. They are processes that come one after the other. It is not a meal plan. It is a process. It is a lifestyle change. It is a mindset change. It is a behavior change. You have to learn to look at food as a healing tool. You have to learn to change your attitude towards your environment. Yes. Take, for instance, when you start the nutritional intervention, you get to see a lot of little things you may not necessarily have noticed. Okay, we will advise you that when you go to fill your tank in your fuel, in your car, do not go with your neurodivergent child. Why? Because a lot of these gasoline variants are leaded. Did you know that 91% of neurodivergent children have what we call the MTHFR gene? And this MTHFR makes it extremely difficult for them to detoxify toxicants that go into their body. And because of this, how our bodies, the body of the neurotypical person, handles toxicants is not the same as the body of the neurodivergent child. It's not the same as how the body of the neurodivergent child handles toxicants. So if you have the habit of going to the petrol station to fill up your tank with your child, just be aware that even though it might not mean a lot to your body, it might actually mean a lot to their body. If you are cooking with utensils that are emitting toxicants into their food, your body might be taking good care of whatever goes in, but the body of a neurodivergent child who probably has an MTHFR may not be taking care of those little toxicants. If you are using a toothpaste with fluoride and it doesn't feel anything, you don't feel nothing, the body of a neurodivergent child with MTHFR might be finding it like a very big burden. Just like you notice that tiny noises can affect can actually affect them negatively. That is how tiny toxins can as well affect them negatively. Like the things that your body will naturally just take care of, the body cannot. The body cannot. So when you talk about utensils, electromagnetic waves like that from your microwave, like that of your Wi-Fi, like that of your phone, all these little things that your body will just kind of take care of, their bodies do not take care of them. So for them, it's like going far, going extra mile. When it comes to the cream you put on their skin, a lot of parents do not understand that after the small intestine, the largest organ in our body is the skin. The skin covers everywhere on your body. So we also look at what kind of cream are you putting on their body? What are the components of that cream? What do that cream contain? And how is it affecting the body? Even if they were this tiny, because of the fact that they have that MTHFR, it might be as big as this for their own body. Just like their ears can exaggerate noise, their bodies can exaggerate toxicants. So when we work with families, we don't just jump into a meal plan, eat that, don't eat that. No. We lay a foundation where you prepare the body, put them in a very good state that will even enhance nutrient absorption and utilization, that would restore integrities of systems, that would put the body in a good state. Because if, for instance, a child has high level of heavy metal, there is tendency that that heavy metal is providing protection for the bad microbes in their body. And when that heavy metal is providing that protection, it means the activities of those bad microbes will continue to tamper with the integrity of their mucosal wall, will tamper with the integrity of their stomach walls. And when that continues, if we do not address that heavy metal and we restore the microbiome using things like probiotic, there is tendency that as you continue restoring, these other guys are still continuously destroying. So by the time we are looking at a child, we are looking at how do we address the microbiome? How do we address the microbiome? We look at 3 ways to address the microbiome. You try to starve the bad guys by not giving them the kind of food they like, and that is where diet comes in. You try to kill them by using things like antiviral, and then you try to overcome their population by bringing in more of the good guys by using probiotics. I think this is like a lot of information in one information. But here, take it like this. Nutrition is a process. Nutrition is a mindset thing. But above all, nutrition is a foundation. Every child, every neurodivergent child needs nutritional intervention. I do not call it meal plan. I call it nutritional intervention. Why? Because what we offer is like an overhaul of the child's food intake, body system, processes that enhance or that could be interfering with the proper nutrient utilization. And believe me, for once, we've not had one parent that said nutrition hasn't been beneficial. Nutrition hasn't been beneficial, said no parents that has worked with us. I cannot say it all here. We have parents whom their children have moved from special class to mainstream class, started potty training, started speaking. There is no aspect of development that we've not recorded in our clients. So the point here is, please, if you have a neurodivergent child, if you have a neurodivergent ward, do not just rely only on therapy. Therapies are wonderful. I do not even see any child, progressing without the therapies. But it's like building a house on top of nothing. The nutrition kind of offers the foundation upon which the therapy build upon. Because when a child is inattentive, therapy is ineffective. So let's see it like this. Nutrition builds the child's attention and therapies builds the skills or whatever, that needs to be built in the child. But hey, the foundation has to be right before the house can stand. Yeah, our time is up. I wanted to do 30 minutes, but here I am at almost 35 minutes. But this is me. This is what I do. I love it when parents approach me, and I do everything possible to make sure that every child gets the best of the intervention they require. Thank you so much for being with me. I don't have regular time for my live sessions, but I love doing it because it gives me the opportunity to just give out what I have and throw it out there so that whenever anyone stumbles on it, they should be able to learn 1 or 2 things. Have a lovely evening or lovely morning already here. It's a Sunday, and I'll grab some sleep and prepare for church, for mass. I am a Catholic. Thank you.